Friends, welcome to the NIOS studio. In this video, we are going to talk about Cubism, Surrealism and abstract art. Cubism is a style of painting and sculpture that began in Paris in about 1907. It was the most important trend at the beginning of 20th century. Cezanne was the pioneer of Cubism. Cezanne said, everything in nature must be treated as a cylinder or sphere. The important artists included Picasso, Braque and Leger. They particularly chose subjects like still life, landscapes and portraits. And the motifs in their work were broken up into small parts. The aim was given importance on construction, but not to the emotion. The purpose was presenting the form, not richness of color in terms of geometrical shapes. Forms became increasingly abstract and generalized. By 1920, this art movement came to an end. Surrealism was another movement which started in 1924 and continued till 1955. The surrealist artists tried to use the images of the unconscious in their works. The surrealists considered themselves representative of new outlook, mainly influenced by psychoanalysis. It originated as a revolutionary movement resulting from the Dadaist revolt. Giorgio de Chirico, de Chirico, and Salvador Dali were the most famous surrealist painters. Abstract art is a general term for non-representational art, an art form that rejects the depiction of the contemporary world in a realistic way. It started in the year 1910. The pioneers of abstract paintings are Kandinsky, Delaunay, and Mondrian. They tried to give a pictured form to depict abstract ideas, which is not possible to represent in a realistic method. Let us discuss the objective of this whole study. This will enable learners to describe evolution of abstract art, Cubism and surrealism, and state the names of artists, methods and materials, sizes, themes and places of enlisted paintings. Moreover, it will help them to tell the title of enlisted paintings and identify abstract art, Cubism and surrealism from other art movements. Let us appreciate one of the paintings of Picasso in Cubist style. The name of the painting is Man with a Violin. Pablo Picasso was born in 1881 in Malaga, Spain. He was a painter, sculptor and ceramist. Throughout his long career, Picasso followed the principles of abstract composition. He was highly influenced by symbolism. He developed his own style in Paris during his blue period, which is 1900 to 1902, named from his blue-green tone of his canvases. Picasso developed his rose period during 1905 to 1907. In this period, he used mainly pink color in his paintings. After this period, his works were influenced by the African artifacts. From 1915, Picasso developed his Cubist phase, which made him famous world over. Cubism is basically the breaking of three-dimensional forms into flat areas of pattern and color, overlapping and linking, so that shapes and parts of the human body or objects are seen from the front and back at the same time. Man with Violin was painted in 1912. It is a fine example of analytical cubism. Objects were divided into parts depicting different viewpoints at the same time. Like any other painting of this period, forms are recognizable, but broken down into cube-like forms. Picasso tried to use space in a new way. The human form holding the violin is broken into various geometrical shapes and then arranged together. The colors are used are typical of this period, using the shades of browns and green. Most of his paintings during this period were made with similar technique and colors. In this painting, there is a continuous unity of form and color. For him, reality had a different definition. He defined reality in a sense more real than that of nature. His brilliant and unusual way of handling paints and other materials made him most admired artist of the 20th century. One of the best works is Guernica, Guernica, based on Spanish Civil War. Let us see now a different kind of style, which is known as surrealism. The famous painter of surrealism is Salvador Dali. Salvador Dali is the most famous surrealist painter. He was a Spanish painter, filmmaker and writer. He adopted highly realistic technique. He continued with his practice of drawing, which he had mastered in his youth while studying. After a brief period of experimenting with form, he used his drawing to depict the world of absurd, unusual and strange elements. Persistence of memory was painted in 1931. It is a fine example of surrealist movement. The bare landscape and calmness depicted in this painting could be regarded as life after all wars, after all humans have died. The only objects in the painting that give life and which can be associated with people are the melting clock. In this painting, the melting clocks look very realistic and create the sense of disturbed mind which we all see in most of his paintings. Dali's own style was academic and precise, but his subject matter was from his dreams or nightmares. The unconventional grouping of objects in Dali's picture has a symbolic meaning. These soft watches create new and unpleasant images. Ants crawl over another as they would over rotting food. Their forms create a jewel-like ornament covering the watch's surface. All his paintings create a different kind of pictorial language. None of Dali's paintings represent reality. They look as if nothing more than a few objects here and there which are out of place. Though he was a great artist with talent and imagination, he had a way of doing unusual things to draw attention to himself, which many a times have annoyed those who loved his art as well as his critics. His eccentric theatrical manner was as prominent as his artwork and attracted a lot of public attention. He died in 1989 and left behind his fantastic works such as Villa Bertin, large harlequin, small bottle of rum, and honey is sweeter than blood. After surrealism, we will come to a very new modern form of art which is known as abstract art. This is a painting titled Black Lines by Wassily Kandinsky. Was born in 1806 in Russia. He was a famous painter and art theoretician of his time. Kandinsky is one of the founder figures of abstract painting. He laid the foundation for non-representational art in his three important series: impression, improvisation, and compositions. His works were combination of abstraction and geometry. He wanted painting to be abstract like music. His paintings like accompanied contrast YOLO accompaniment. Angular structure are some of his great works. His works had an enormous influence on the next generations of artists. Black lines are done by Kandinsky in the year 1913. As the name suggests, the lines look as if they were put on with Indian ink, but actually paint was used. In this composition, a group of lines in a particular corner added different meanings according to the arrangement. Like other paintings of this period, his work showed simplicity and pure diagrams as if skeletons have no flesh on it. The colored spot looks as if applied by fingers of a giant hand and not brushes. They go well with the lines and its effect. For Kandinsky, line, shape and color all had their own meaning and function freely within the area. In most of his paintings, lines are sketchy and look as if they have lives of their own. He spent last part of his life in Paris, where he died in 1944. Let us assess what we have learned so far from this lesson. An important phase in Western art began with the foundation of abstract art. Other art movements followed, and there was a continuous change in understanding art. We find the influence of abstract art in works which cannot be related to realism. Any work which is non-representational is considered abstract art. Though abstract art, Cubism and surrealism originated in the West, it left a deep impression on Indian artists and greatly influencing their many works. Vasily Kandinsky Salvador Dali, and Pablo Picasso. Have left remarkable works for the future generation of artists as an inspiration. Though they represented important phases in these new movements, they remained very individualistic. Their works showed the distinction from realistic work of the earlier periods. Cubism originated along the lines of abstract art, and Picasso became famous for his cubist paintings and sculptures. Their works showed different periods, and each period was very distinct from other. Dali, who had a very interesting and unusual life, was the most famous amongst the surrealist painters. Dear friends, I hope you have understood a lot from this video. This video has explained about Cubism, surrealism, and abstract art. For any kind of learning support, you can contact us at our helpline number 1800-180-9393. For more information, log on to www.nios.ac.in. Thank you for listening this program.